And we are live. Welcome to episode was it? Episode 73 of Player Life. It is Wednesday the 3rd of March here in Tokyo. We have Javier in the house. What is up? What is up? Am I pronouncing that your name right? Javier. I believe it is Javier, right? Like it sounds with a H, it's X, but I think you pronounce it H, right? Because I hope I'm not mispronouncing it. Um, Winston in the house. What is good? What is good? Do 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 do. Jason B. Another great start to the day. What is good? What is good? Um, know your worth. What is good, man? What is good? Testosterone levels have dropped among the population dramatically. Estrogen in the water supply to blame. That is the question. That is the question. We got Christian Veno in the house. What up, man? What is good? Good to have you. Um, yeah. So just another day here in Tokyo. Another day in the life. Another day in the life. A nice day. Did a nice calisthenics workout. Had to. I'm actually. I'm not actually working right now in Tokyo. I'm just living the player life. Nah, but really, I'm trying to get a visa sorted. So in Japan, the visa, their immigration laws are very strict, and that's fine and all. But it's annoying. It's annoying when you're trying to when you if you change job in Japan, a lot of times you will have to change visa. It's really annoying. So even if you have like a 3 or 5 year visa, if you have 5 years left on your visa and you change job, depending on what kind of job, but you'll have to actually change your visa, and that's very annoying. I don't have a problem with the immigration laws in Japan, but the fact that you have to change your visa when you change job is very annoying. Um, what happened to me last time was I had a visa and I had like 3 years left on it, and I went and had to change it because I got a new job, and then it only gave me 1 year visa, and I didn't even think of that because I never. Every time I've applied for a new visa in Japan, they've given me like 3 year visa. So uh, I wrote down how many years visa you can. There's an option like how many years: 1 year, 3 years, or 5 years. I don't know why it's you can't write 2 years or 4 years. It's one, 3, or 5. So obviously I wrote 5 years every time, and but they always gave me three. But last time they gave me one, and that was very annoying. Uh, but yeah, I have to change jobs because uh, yeah, I just didn't like the last one, and I just got a new one. So having to go through that visa shit again, but it is what it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So today, um, yeah, it was just before I get into that. It's just funny. One thing I've noticed from these, I've been using Bumble a lot, and it's pretty good. But there is a I don't know what it is. I think I need to change my photos because I tend to attract girls that want a relationship, and that bothers me. You know, I think and not always, but most of the girls I match with, I just swipe right if she's hot. I don't even read the profile. But yeah, it's funny how these girls like I've been asking them, because they'll like, I'll just get into it with them, and I'll ask them, oh, I'll basically sometimes I'll just come out when it's really obvious that they just want a relationship or they're not playing ball, they're not coming, they don't agree to come. When girls don't like respond to messages and agree to come and meet me for a coffee, sometimes like I'll send a little like a triggering message just to get like some info out of them, and it can be funny. It can be funny, and you can ask them things like, what are you looking for, and they'll come out, I'm looking for a boyfriend, and I'll say, well, I'm just looking to fuck, just to try and trigger them, get them a little riled up, and then I'll ask them something like, I guess I'll say like, I guess you're over that stage of your life. And they'll go like, what do you mean? And I'll be like, well, I mean, I guess you're done like just sleeping around. And they'll say, oh yeah, I'm over that. So it's just so funny. They expect some, like, I'm definitely not a beta guy, but like it's that's why it's insulting that they even consider that that they can say that to me and still think that, I'm gonna, oh yeah, yeah, I'll go out and, I'll have to go on to 3 or 4 dates just to get some ass. These girls are so clueless. Well, the thing is, the reason they're clueless is because they can afford to be clueless. They don't need game. Chicks do not need game. Below average chicks, like, it's just so easy for them. I mean, girl game is being able to keep a guy. Guy game is being able to smash. And I'm only interested in being able to smash. It's funny though. They'll come out, like, I've noticed that these girls won't have a problem like in admitting that, they'll say like, oh yeah, I'm over that stage of my life, I'm tired of sleeping with. If you ask them, if you say, oh, you're done with that, I guess you're done with that stage of your life, because they don't realize I'm asking that because that tells me that they've slept around a lot, and like, now they're waiting for the beta guys to come around, pick up the pieces, take them on 3 dates, maybe even more. Like, yeah, these girls probably clean up with some guys, like take them on 5, 6 dates. Then they have like, beta sex, or I don't even know if it's called beta sex, or like starfish sex, crappy sex, like, not passionate, nothing like that. Um, if you leave sex for like, weeks, instead of like sexual tension build up, there'll be more of like it's more like there'll be a divide of frustration building up, and it'll be resentment. Um, if first of all, I'm never getting into that situation ever. Like, I'll never get into that situation ever again. I'm never going to be a guy that's going to take a girl out on like 5 or 6 dates and like still be, it's the even now I'm like too red pill to do the 3 dates. Like, I'm over it, because I can read these chicks too well. I know them too well. Like, I understand what's up. I understand their games. I can read them like a book. Like, I can read what their little scheming minds are up to. Like, on the first date, I can read their body language. I understand if they're into me or not. Um, I always bring my fire game, but I just don't have the patience. But I get a kick out of it. Like, I like to retrieve, even when I know I'm not gonna bang some of these chicks I match with on dating apps. It's like, you can garner some interesting RP knowledge. Just say, I like to get some. It's just funny. Like, they think they'll all admit it. They'll be like, yeah, I'm over that. I'm tired of sleeping with random guys. Some girls will write it in their profile. I'm done sleeping with random guys. Like, and to be honest, there's been a few times where I've actually, even though they've written that in their profiles, I've still smashed them. So just because they write it, it doesn't mean you can't seal the deal. Yeah, like I said, I can't. Just a few weeks ago, what was it? Some girl was like, no one night stands. A lot of girls write no one night stands in their profiles in Tokyo. Like, no hookups, no one side, big cap locks. Like, and it's so funny. Like, a few weeks ago, some girl wrote that, and she was kind of refusing to come. She was like, I was like, yo, come to this station. Let's have a coffee. Or let's meet up there. And she was like, no, why do you want me to come there? And then I said, well, it's a nice area. And she was like, no. And then she said, meet halfway. And then I said, no, you come here or nowhere. And she came anyway, right? She came, and it was nighttime. This is a girl, cap locks. I talked about this before, but cat blocks, no hookups, no ONS, one night stands. And yeah, she ended up like we ended up literally just walking back to my place, like when I met her at the station. And yeah, of course we banged, like we banged, and she yeah, like you know, she it was late, so she missed the last train. And lo and behold, I was all right, you know, time to go to sleep. So I was like, I started brushing my teeth. She goes to her handbag and she takes out a toothbrush, starts brushing her teeth. Like she knew she was coming to bang, like, even though they write this stuff. So you can't like you can't like believe what these women like. It's meaningless. Like they don't even know what they're saying. Like, you know, if they'll say this, that, and the other. They just want nice guys. They just want no hookups, no friends, no, you know, relationship only. Yeah. Know your worth puts it right. No hookups, relationship only. On the spectrum, typing too. No one night stands. Exactly. Great stuff. But yeah. So if they meet you and you bring your game and you can turn them on, then it's like, yeah, that's all meaningless. They'll still hook up with the Chad guys. They'll still get smashed by the Chad guys because girls get horny too. Not as often as guys, but when girls are horny, they're really horny. Like they pretty much go into heat. Like when girls are ovulating, when they're like releasing the egg, it's like going into heat. Like they get horny. There's been studies done on this stuff, you know. Like officially, like woke science will say, you know, women have the exact same sex drive as men. No, they do not. They definitely don't. They definitely go through cycles. Anyone who's been in a relationship with a girl for any amount of time will understand this. That men and women do not have the same sex drive. They're on different wavelengths. They're not the same. They're just not. Um, you know, girls will, when they're ovulating, will dress way sexier. They'll wear more revealing clothes, and they might even do this subconsciously. Like they might not even be aware of it. Like they might even, you know, they'll just be more flirtatious, all stuff like that. And you know, they might have something written up in their They might, you know, when they wrote that on their profile, it might have been like when they weren't ovulating at a time of the month when they're not having those sexual hormones flowing through their body, and they're like, yeah, I just want to settle down. I just want to find a nice guy, and then you know. But then when it gets to that certain time of the month where her eggs are, you know, floating, you know, getting released, dangerous time too. But you know, the sex drive will like you fire up, and she said like fuck it, yeah, I'll go and meet this guy, and I'll get smashed. I'll have this hot sex with some random guy from an application. it's, it's a winning situation. It's great. Um, do 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 do. Um, Winston says they just say outright that they've been ran through by dozens of dubious dudes. That's that's the funniest thing about it. Like they're just admitting it. Every girl that says no hookups, no one night stands, no this, you know, only relationship, they're telling you directly. Like they're directly telling you that I've slept with a lot of guys on this application or other applications or from nights out or whatever. Um, Especially on these apps, they're telling you directly. And if you put it to a girl like that, she'd be like, "Oh my god!" I like. She'll be like, "Oh, you know," if you tell her like that's what you're telling me by saying that, she'd be like, "No, it's not. I've never done that." And but that's because you're critical. That's because you're judging them. But if you ask them like, oh, like in this kind of a neutral way, like, oh, I guess you're over that stage of your life, because it's kind of non-judgmental. I guess you're over like kind of. I guess you're bored of sleeping with random guys. Doesn't come across as too aggressive, so they'll think, oh yeah, this guy he's not really judging me. So they'll say, oh, they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm bored of that. I'm looking for a serious relationship now. But if you do ask them outright, like, "Oh, I bet you've slept with a lot of guys, you dirty," you know what I mean? They'll be like, "No, I haven't. Like, no, I haven't at all." Like, I've never done that. I've never slept around. But really, it's all about. It really is about the haves and have-nots. It's about the guys getting ripped off like real badly, and there's that guys out there winning so big. Like I'm one of those guys that is winning pretty hard. But I wasn't always one of those guys. I used to be one of the guys that would go on multiple dates and be like really unsure about whether how to make the move, and like like, oh, I used to think, oh, I can't make the move on the first date. You always try, like, it's so mad to think I used to be like that, but I was. Uh, Go out and think, oh, it's the first time I'm meeting her. I can't like smash today. It's like there's no way it could happen. Like, or I'd meet a girl in she'd want to meet for lunch, and I just agree to it. And just because it's lunchtime, I would assume that, oh, it's not on the cards. There's no way I'm gonna smash today just because it was daytime. So naive. And just because it's daytime, of course it's entirely possible. There's no reason that you couldn't smash just because it's daytime. But a lot of guys out there think like that. And I was surprised because even guys I know back, you know, guys that aren't ORP aware, they a lot of people think like that. Sometimes we're in an echo chamber in these groups on YouTube and wherever. It's like if you go outside of these groups and you start talking to normies and you know your high school friends or whatever, you'll find out that a lot of people think like that. They'll think, oh, just because I went on a coffee date, it's like they'll go on a coffee. They'll just agree. Like a girl will be like, she'll be like, oh, it's a little bit far, and they'll be like, oh, okay, it's too far. Where do you want to meet? They won't try. They won't. They'll be so desperate to keep the date. They'll be like, oh yeah, yeah, okay, it's too far. So where is there anywhere close to you, or where's convenient for you? They won't even try, but the girl is just shit testing them, like pure shit test. Like all the guy has to do is say, "Oh yeah, well, I mean, I know a nice place here, so you should come anyway." Like, and then she'd be like, "Oh, okay," you know what I mean? Like a lot of guys don't realize that they can't even recognize a shit test. Um, yeah, but Javier says that's the only buffer to get rid of betas. Yeah, girls are pretty much like, I don't even know if they do it subconsciously or unconsciously or subconsciously or consciously, but like they are getting rid of betas whether they realize it or not. Like that's their strategy. Like they're trying to figure out this guy is like, you know, is he confident about his SMV? Is he a confident guy? Because if you're a confident guy, if you're externally a confident guy, you know, if you take the lead, that shows that you're going to take the lead in the bedroom too. It shows that you're going to, just by the fact that you're like being solid and like staying in your frame. Uh, that tells her that you know what you're going to do in the bed. You're going to be good in bed too. Because guys that would be like, oh, okay, like let's, what day are you free, or like, oh, like, oh, let's, is there anywhere convenient, where's the most convenient place for you to meet? You know those guys, like, yeah, they probably like suck at sex too, because it just shows like a lack of yeah, just a lack of confidence, a lack of a kind of a desperation to not mess up the date. They're trying to get the date at any cost possible. Like they're making so many compromises. Um, uh, Javier says, "Yep, ovulation is your best friend when you have a rotation." Indeed, indeed. Uh, That's when she wants a Chad. Yeah, these chicks want to get dicked down when they're ovulating, like by like a big muscular, like alpha dude. Um, and it just yeah, girls have different types. It's some girls like even it really depends. Like Chads aren't necessarily always like super muscular. Like a Japanese Chad is completely different to a Western Chad. Like it's amazing. Like some Japanese like playboys, like players, like they they'd be players in Japan, but like compared to a Western Chad dude, like he'd be so feminine and weak. Um, and a Japanese, maybe a Japanese like Chad looking guy, like if he looked like a Western guy, if a Japanese guy kind of looked like a Western Chad, he mightn't be as popular as one of the the kind of fashionista, like femboy kind of skinny dude. It's hard to it's a weird thing. You have to come here to see it. Yeah, you have to come here to see it. But like, there's a certain Japanese kind of playboy that's like super skinny, like not alpha in the Western sense at all. But these guys like they get a lot of pussy. It's a certain look. You'll see it when if you came over here. But I wouldn't want to. That's not my style. I don't even like. I wouldn't want to look like that. Like that. It's a weird style. But I'll go with the Western. I'll keep my Western image over. Um, because it's like, you know, I'm not going to change who I am. I'm an Irishman in Japan. Like I'm not going to start. I respect the culture. I respect the language. But I'm not going to change who I am. You know, just to get some pussy. I change my way myself in positive ways. Obviously, like I want to improve myself, but I'm not going to change. I'm not going to try and be Japanese. Put it like that. Um, Although I do respect the country, the culture. Uh, know your worth says they tell on themselves all the time. That's exactly it. They tell on themselves. That's important because they don't even realize it, even though they're telling like they're just saying it in a different way. They're just saying something in a different way, and they really like if you just said it back to them, like they'd be like, they might, they're so clueless to what that you know what they're actually saying because they speak so much. Uh, Spark 55 says, "Well, one lesson I learned in life the hard way is always take the lead with women. Absolutely, under no circumstance do you let women lead. Like none. I mean, especially when it comes to arranging the date, arranging like, especially when it comes to getting laid, like you 100% take the lead. Women get very, very unattracted and irritated when they're left to make decisions. 100%. I remember when I was back in my blue pill days, back when I was like early 20s, dating a Korean girl. We went on a trip to like Budapest or something, and I didn't travel much back then. I just left everything up to her. Let her do everything. I was just like chilling, doing nothing, and just letting her. I let her. She booked the flights, like, but she was so pissed off just because I was such a. I literally did not lead in any way at all, and yeah, it's just. But I only saw that after when I became RP aware, but at the time it was just like ignorantly, unaware. Problematic says, "What is the motive for chicks to sleep around? They are hoping to get Chad's commitment, or is it strictly just for pleasure?" Bit of both. Um, Girls have, they get horny too, just like guys, but it's a different. They're on a different wavelength. So, as where guys would be healthy, guys should be um healthy guys should be, if they're getting enough sleep, uh, eating correctly, and exercise, they should be horny every single day. Um, they should, but women, that's not the case. It's just not. Like anyone who's been in relationships, it's just too widely acknowledged. Like it's just 100% women are just not as horny as frequently as men. They go and but they do, like when they are ovulating, when they do get horny, they get very very horny. It's like a hunger. Obviously, I've no like I'll never experience that. I'm a man, but but it's been well documented. it is. I mean, just through observation, but also, I mean, yeah, I mean, they're obviously the female. They're trying to, sleep with the most sexually, high value men, physically. The young, when they're, in their prime years, they want to sleep with the best. And if that means they can sleep with, a lot of really high value guys, they'll do that. You know, um, so they do that. That's what Western girls do now. They sleep with a lot of very, Chad dudes, pump and dump guys. And I always thought, I've said this so many times, girls don't understand the difference between dateability and bangability. So there's just all these Chads out there, 10%, 20% of guys smashing all the chicks. And these guys have no intention of dating any of these chicks, no intention. Some of them might. There's such thing as blue pill. There's a lot of blue pill Chads out there too that will, they'll get into relationships with these girls if they're hot enough. But yeah, I mean, girls will, they want to have fun. They want to have fun. But it is different. Um, yeah, Javier is saying, I was running some game and this girl shit test and said she got a man. I told her that I'm gonna make that peace leave belong to me, and she seemed very receptive. Very good, very good. Um, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's just a bit of a side note. So today, yeah, I don't know. I saw this video. Um, well, I saw some image on Twitter talking about sperm counts, and it made me think, like, this is just like a Western problem. Like, this isn't like, they're not having like they're not having low birth rates in other parts of the world. You know, um, it's usually in developed countries, where the birth rate starts to decline due to a number of reasons. Like, it's not like necessary to have as many children, but like particularly in Western countries, it's there's not enough incentive for people to want to have kids, especially because of the kind of cultural gender war that's going on. Um, Guys are just not willing to invest, and the crazy thing is that there are a lot of beta guys out there that would be willing to invest, but women's egos have been so inflated. Like, this cannot be stated enough. Like, women, their egos have been like inflated to like like critical mass. They're and it's because of social media, dating apps, all this stuff, where below average girls think they're like supermodels. And it's just, and where they won't give guys that are on the same SMV as them the time of day. Back in the day, like in our parents' time, an SMV 5 woman would get with maybe an SMV 5.5 man. The guy would probably always be above, even back in the day. But now it's like an SMV 5 woman wants to get with an SMV 8, 9, 10 guy. Probably 9, and 10. It's so blown out. Like, it's like it's just been, and that is because guys are dogs, and that's because even really high value guys, like, listen, I know some serious dogs. It's just, and this is not anecdotal. Like, I'm one of them. Like, I know some really high value guys that, they would have a very high SMV, and they will admit that they have slept with women from dating apps that, they wouldn't talk about. They wouldn't, like, it's just like they were bored one night. It was an easy bang. She came around, and it's not someone they would date, to put it mildly. So putting it bluntly, like, SMV 5 girls can have sex with SMV 10 guys. Like, that's the way it goes. And the guy will, He'll bang her and he'll throw her out and he'll ghost her. That'll be it. But she will think that because she's able to have sex with guys like that, she's able to date guys like that, and that's wrong. That's not correct. There's a big difference. Yeah. Sergio in the house. What up, man? That's the worst. When a 5 thinks she's a 7, and it happens all the time. Happens all the time. 69 6s that think they're 9s. Gabriel E says, I project in 5 years the dating market will be the equivalent of eBay. Highest bidder wins. Money will be the motivation. Who knows, man? It is getting out of hand, and there are I don't think you guys understand like how crazy it's going to get, because there's going to be so much like baby rabies, and it's already happening. Like there's millions of women all across the Western world that are my age, like hit it. Like I'm 32-year-old woman, a 32-year-old man are fucking different animals, different, like totally different. Like 32-year-old women, when they hit that age, like that's like, and they don't have a man, they don't have a child. It's like imagine like you're running to catch the most important flight of your life. You have to run and you're late. That's what it's like for them every day. They're waking up with this feeling like they have to catch some flight, but they don't know where the flight is going. They don't know where the airport is even. You know what I mean? They don't know what's going on. They're like, they just have this sense of like impending doom. And that's biology. That's like millions of years of evolution. That's their body telling them they've fucked up real bad. Like they're about to miss the most important like boat. Like the boat's leaving the docks. Like it's almost like it's gone out of sight, you know, and it's never coming back. And they're starting to. That's where like this hysteria, this societal hysteria is coming from. I think all these like women's marches, and like if you did, I'd love to do the studies on these women's marches and figure out like how, what percentage of these women that go on women's marches are like, have children or are married. I'd say very few, and I'd say a lot of them have like are around like my, that like wall, like impacting on the wall and over, and it's probably all ages, but a lot of the hysterical ones would be the ones that are, just completely, panicking about their situation. Know Your Worth says, "Whoa, Mac the Digger, aka the female whisperer." Don't know about that, man. Don't know, but I'm pretty dialed in. I'll agree with you there. But yeah, so I don't know. Let's see some of this. I'll share a video I saw. We got it up. Okay. All right. Okay, so this is a video from a while ago, but it's basically a government-sponsored ad trying to get the population in Denmark to have babies. All these Western countries, they're pretty much like the population is in such decline. Unless they're also there's subtitles. Hopefully you can read them.
Kan sex redde Danmarks fremtid? Danmark har et problem. Fødselsraten er den laveste i 27 år, og der fødes ikke nok børn til at forsørge den aldrende befolkning. Skiftende regeringer har ikke kunne løse problemet, men der må være en løsning. Her er Emma. Hun er dansker, men selvom hun er født og opvokset i Danmark, er hun undfanget i Paris. Lige deroppe på det der hotelværelse. For 30 år siden tog Emmas forældre en lille sliptur. Hvis vægge kunne tale. Men det viser sig, at Emmas historie ikke er så enestående. 10% af alle danske børn er undfanget på en ferie.
At rejse og få nye oplevelser, det påvirker parforholdet, fordi de får overskud til at se og opleve hinanden på ny. Det frigør endorfiner i hjernen, og så får folk lyst til sex. Det får vi børn af.
Faktisk har danskerne 46% mere sex på ferier sammenlignet med hverdagen. Så for at hjælpe den faldende danske fødselsrate, vil Spis opfordre alle danskere til at tage på en romantisk storbyferie. Det hjælper selvfølgelig også lidt på vores fremtidige forretning. Men er det ikke motivation nok at gøre det for Danmark, så har vi lavet en lille konkurrence. Book din rejse med vores ægløsningsrabat. Fyr den af. Bevis, du har undfanget et barn, og vind 3 års forbrug af babyudstyr og en børnevenlig ferie. Men hvad nu, hvis du allerede har gjort din pligt? Eller hvis chancerne for en undfangelse ikke er særlig høje, jamen så se på det sådan her. Det handler ikke kun om at vinde. Det handler om at være med. Deltag i konkurrencen. Do it for Denmark.
All right. Okay, so I don't know if you could see the subtitles on that, but it was just to give you a brief summary of it. It's basically a government sponsored ad to try and get Danes. I think people from Denmark are called Danes to have children because their population is in such decline, and it's funny because they have to go to those lengths, and the thing is this will be blamed on low. I don't actually believe. I'm not a biologist. I'm not a scientist, but I don't believe that it is falling sperm counts. I don't think that's the reason. Like populations are falling. Lefties and they'll try anything to criticize men. They'll try anything to attack men. Oh yeah, it's falling sperm counts. And yes, there are a lot of soy boys. There are a lot of beta males, and they probably do have weak sperm counts. But like, even though their sperm count is weak, they probably still could get women pregnant if they tried. Even though they have a weak sperm count or whatever. But the real thing is that there's like a gender war. There's a gender kind of like women only want the top 20% of men, and men are just those men are not really interested or not. They just don't. They're not motivated to have a family or whatever, or lock women down. Javier says it's because of birth control innovation and hypergamous delusion. 100%. It's a mixture of all the above. Like, it's a mixture of the birth control, the hypergamy, the advocation, the promotion of abortion, legalization of abortion, the whole thing. But the thing is, these women will often, be really in the early 20s, in their prime years of their life, they will, in their beauty years, they will be like, yeah, I don't want kids. Kids suck. Kids stink. They'll say all this stuff to try and make themselves sound cool, because it's the cool. It's in pop culture. It's like the hip thing to do. It's the trendy thing to do. They're so lame, man. It's so funny. It's like the way the coolest way to be is, they think that the coolest way to be is just to follow the trends. Like, being cool is actually when you go away from the trends. You don't follow trends, you go your own way, you do your own thing. You don't give a fuck about all this, these things, it's like the whole resistance, the resistance, in America or whatever, the resistance, I'm part of resistance, you're not part of fucking any resistance. You're part of a fucking, you know what I mean? Like, part of every single global organization, every company, every is everyone's on your side. There's no resistance. Like, um, uh, Jason B says the foreign populations aren't having these problems in European country. Absolutely, they're not. Like, because they're not like cooked. They're not cooked. Like, I mean, there's like, there's Muslims that go to a place like Germany and wife up, like, get like, build like harems and shit, and like cock the cock the European men, and it's hilarious. And all good for them, because like European men suck. Like, they suck ass. They're such pussies, most of them. Yeah, so Spark 55 says, well, betaization led to a female first order society, and the results of it are obvious. The results are obvious, but we can all enjoy seeing them like spaz out when they slam into the wall, and they're like, the best way to, the you can really see them, like I said before, like women will they'll often like double down on their ideologies, the progressive ideologies, instead of acknowledging that they've been sold a lie. Um, they'll like, they'll go to the women's marches, and they'll protest Trump and all this stuff, even though they're not, even in Europe, like all these, like they had all these marches against Trump, and it's like, you're not even in America. What is it? What are you marching for? And it's not even just some weird crowd like of people marching. It's like there'll be like tens of thousands of people on the streets. It's like, what? They're so lame. That's why, like, I like Ireland's like, oh, I'm so embarrassed about Ireland. I'm so embarrassed about it. It's such an embarrassing little country. I used to be so proud of it. I used to be proud of it. I'm proud of the history and the culture, the original, like the old culture, but like the new Ireland is like such a beta little country, such a soy little country. Um, you know, even all throughout Donald Trump's, whatever you think about Donald Trump, but all throughout his presidency, there was these dumb little protests and marches in Ireland. It's like so embarrassing to see. It's like pathetic little twerps thinking they're living in America. Such a bunch of dopes. It made me sick. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, no, let me see this. Let me share something here. Yeah, so this The Guardian, it's such a rag, such a dirty little rag, filthy. But let's see, have you seen the price of sperm? It's time to democratize fertility treatment. This chick is one of the worst. Like, she writes the most trash, like crap, progressive shit. But it's like, you know what I mean? I thought men are, women need, men like a fish needs a bicycle. Like, get the fuck out of here. And now they're crying about the price of sperm. I thought you don't need men. I thought we're unnecessary. I haven't even read this, but let me see what she's written. My partner is pregnant and we're thrilled, but getting there costs a small fortune. Access to IVF and other procedures must be widened. This couple probably hates on men. Probably, like, but yet they're like using men's like liquids, produce. You know what I mean? What about, my body? Why are they like, they're harvesting our goods? Get the fuck out of here. They should have to pay like 1 Bitcoin for one of my loads. Oh man, I might set up a business sending my produce in exchange for Bitcoin. Be a good business. But let's read it. One big advantage of homosexual. What? It starts off. Oh, okay. One big advantage of homosexuality: built-in birth control. One big disadvantage of homosexuality: built-in birth control. You can't just casually start trying for a child when you're in a same-sex couple. You've got to meticulously plan parenthood. Instead of getting off the pill, you start taking them. You also start buying sperm. Buying sperm. Look up the price of sperm if you want the shock. It's more bonkers than Bitcoin. And you start booking doctor's visits and getting blood tests and ultrasounds and trigger shots. And you go to the hospital and magic medicalized baby making happens. And then you wait 2 weeks. And then you get your period and you have to do it all again. You have to do it all again. Yeah, well, I thought I guarantee this woman has written articles like really, hating on men. Yet they're like harvesting our fucking produce, like harvesting men's sperm, and then they're complaining that it costs a lot of money. Like, what? My partner and I spent much of 2020 engaged in variants of the above. Finally, after four what is it? IUI interine insemination procedures and about 20,000 in bills, she got pregnant. Hooray. I won't get into the technicalities of IUI, but it's less invasive and less expensive than IVF, in vitro fertilization. The flip side is that it's not as effective. We may have shelled out a small fortune, but in the end, we were lucky. Getting pregnant could have taken a lot longer and cost a lot more. Our health insurance didn't cover IVF. If we'd had to go that route, then I'm not sure how long we would have been able to keep trying. Meanwhile, some of our straight friends going through IVF had insurance that covered everything, which, while great for them, felt somewhat arbitrary and unfair. So unfair. Children should have, mothers and fathers. That's just my opinion. I mean, I just, I don't think, I thought, these are the type of the people that, like I said before, like shit on men, shit on, the patriarchy, be less white, be less of a man, be less all this shit. But, anyway, to be clear, I don't think having kids is a human right. I don't think every lesbian couple should be issued one free baby courtesy of the state. Well, yeah, obviously. But I also don't think fertility treatments should be something only the lucky or the loaded have access to. I mean, if you can't afford it, you shouldn't be able to have a kid, basically. Which in England and the US at least is how the system currently works. In England, getting fertility treatments on the NHS is a postcode lottery. Scotland offers the gold standard of the three NHS-funded cycles of IVF. Wales offers 2 cycles. In England, it varies between 3 and none of all. In the US, fertility coverage depends on your health insurance, which in turn depends on the size of your employer and the laws around infertility insurance coverage in your state, not to mention your sexuality. You have to jump through a lot more hoops to get covered when you're a same-sex couple. I'm just saying, apparently, when same-sex couples have adopt a child, the abuse rate is higher. I'm just saying, but perhaps things are slowly changing. I was thrilled to see that England's first not-for-profit IVF clinic is opening in London this year. It will address the inequalities in IVF provision by offering at-cost treatment. It also won't offer all the expensive and often ineffective add-ons that private clinics do. I mean, did you know that embryo glue is a thing? No, I did not. Or that you can pay extra for assisted hatching. The industry is so ridiculous, I'm surprised you can't order satellite TV to relax your embryo as it awaits implantation. Also ridiculous is the amount of judgment that can still be attached to fertility. Why did you wait so long to start trying? Perhaps you should have focused on finding a partner instead of your career. Why don't you just adopt? There's nothing simple about adopting. Are you sure you should be having kids when you're not married to a man? Seriously, if I had a penny for every unsolicited opinion I've ever heard about my ovaries, I could buy the world a round of IVF. We need to widen the access to fertility treatments, but we also desperately need to widen the conversation around fertility. Um, these people are just hypocrites. You know, these are the type of people that would go on about human rights and all this kind of stuff. Yet, they'd be pro. They wouldn't have a problem with gay couples paying what do paying women from poor countries to have their babies, have a baby, and then buy it, adopt it, or buy it from the babies, buy it from the women. um what's that called again? I can't remember. There's a word for it. Mine's gone blank. But I cannot read that kanji. Is that in Rush's V's Don't Bang Denmark? He said women prefer beta male in Denmark. Maybe so. Maybe so. Denmark. I haven't read that. So Know Your Worth said, my brother paid 20,000 for IVF. He married a post-wall 43-year-old at 30. Or IP. That is just RIP indeed. That is pity he didn't get a copy of the Rational Mail when before he did that. That is like, yeah. I mean, you can't save them all. You can't do it. Like it's not it's not possible. It's gonna like I don't believe like we're like guys like us are always gonna be the minority. That's not necessarily a bad thing for us because it means that we won't make these mistakes. But I don't think there's going to be a time when there's like, oh, everyone's going to awaken and we're all going to live in like RP aware society. And no, it's not going to work like that. Like, we're always going to be people that know what's really up is or always going to be a minority. Like red pill men, definitely it's not going to be like a populist movement, and I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, what is the other one? Yeah, I don't know, but anyway, the point of this show, this episode is, I don't think it's a world problem. It's a Western problem. You don't find these problems in Africa or other Asian countries, Southeast Asian countries, or it's not a problem. They've like there's no beef. Like even in Japan, even though they have a falling population, there's still no beef between the sexes. There's no like hatred between men and women here. But because Japanese women are pretty based, they're pretty they understand that they understand sexual market value. Really, they understand that youth and beauty is very valuable. They really do. Like you can just see it. You go out into society, you go out and you'll see that they understand it. And even if you talk to them about it, they'll admit it. They'll understand it. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm 25. I'm already obasan." The obasan means like a granny or like a, and it's like there's you have these hot like 25-year-olds saying it to you, and you're like, I mean, okay, I mean, you were probably hotter when you're 21, but you're still pretty hot. But I mean, Western girls would never talk about themselves like that. They'd be like, I'm still hot when I'm 40. I'm gonna be a na 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 na. You know what I mean? Their ego is is so blown out. Winston says Japan ruined you, man. Yeah, man, maybe, possibly. Nah, I was talking to one of two other pretty base dudes today. One's from Brazil and the other's from Italy. But we were like, God, if for some reason like we got kicked out of Japan, it would be such a tragedy. Like it would be, because it's a good spot to be. I like being here. It would be difficult to go. I have to go back to the West. Um, I was saying personally, I don't think I'd find another Asian country, just because I wouldn't have the patience to live in the West. When things open up, if anyone's in this chat that hasn't traveled or would like to travel more, it's definitely like, if you get a chance, definitely try and get out and travel and see what it's like in countries that haven't been like torn apart by all this woke propaganda. Progressivism has to be done. You'll just be, oh, it'll just shock you, really. But yeah, guys, that's probably gonna do it for today. As usual, like, comment, subscribe. Um, Check out the links in the description. Check out my website, all that good stuff. And I will catch you guys tomorrow night for another episode of Player Life. Peace out, guys. Have a good day. Bye bye.